to the adventure in Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures Pipeman W4CY Radio, and I'm very excited about our next guest because they have some killer new music. So I want to welcome to the show, CHÜZO. How are you?
Doing well. How are you, Mr. Pipeman?
I'm doing great. And, man, I love this new music you have. You have a new EP dropping, M.T.M.D. And basically, this is like the evolution of the band, I think, to the final perfection. Am I right?
That is pretty much that's that was the journey that had to happen for this album to come out with the new members that were integrated just this year in 2024. And with the new enthusiasm, the new drive, and I don't know, the new vibe, it just kind of coalesced much more. I don't know. It just felt much more cooler and much more intimate to just write these songs, and it came out. And the result, I suppose, speaks for itself. I mean, it impressed us how we recorded it and how it came out. When our first impression, when Rutilator, we had the first mixes, we were all like, "Whoa, did we just record that? Is that us?"
Yeah, we were pleasantly surprised by
yeah.
Like
See, I love hearing that.
Like finished rehearsing it like 2 weeks prior, so we had no idea how it was going to sound. We never played it live either. Then we went to the studio and then we did it, and there were some edits with the words and stuff that our producer suggested. He's like, "Oh, it would be more impactful if we cut it this way, make it like hit it here, the rhythm here." And I was like, okay. And then when we heard it, we were like, "Whoa!"
Nice. Because, I mean, artists are their own worst critics. So if you come out of a recording and think it sounds good, that means it sounds really good.
Yeah. We were pretty, at least for me, I kind of always say this. I'm the eternal 15-year-old angry metal kid that never grew up. And so he's happy and he gets the vibe and he gets like and he's like headbanging to it. Yeah. It's like that. Okay. Job's done.
Nice. I love it. And so tell me, and I think, most bands have to, that make it the long term, have to do what has happened to you in the evolution. Like you go through a roster, you try to really find your sound, and then there's just that one combination. And I think that's like the magic, the chemistry combination of what you end up finding out and finding out about what you want the music to sound like. Because at first, when you're 15 playing, let's say, you may have an idea, but you don't really know. It's kind of like you think it sounds cool. I like to look at somebody like Hetfield, who's absolutely embarrassed of his singing in the beginning, and like, because he's like, I didn't know how to even sing. I had to learn how to sing. So, and then other people that were into them, they don't hear the difference, but as an artist, you become proud of your improvement and your evolution of as an artist itself.
I completely agree. I would like to Mischa to answer first, because I think her evolution as a singer for me is much more interesting in the last 6 months than my evolution as a guitar player, but let her answer first.
Sure.
Well, yeah, I feel like there was a lot of like fitting in what we were doing. Like we had to, because like we have the backings, right? And so we have to like blend those in a way that's not clashing. So we figured that out. So it is very different from what I was doing before. And I think even like working in studio and then working live and figuring out what would work and like, you know, just not tire out and not blow your voice out by the end of the show. That also helped a lot. Like, so yeah, there was all that. And like you said, I am definitely my biggest critic. I'll like and find like little nuances and be like, oh man, I didn't pronounce this word properly, or like the timbre just sounds a bit different. Like, remember we went back to Kevin and be like, oh, but this take sounds just slightly different, and everyone was like, I can't hear the difference. And I was like, well, but like, yeah, let's fix that. Let's fix that. So, and I was listening to this in 10 years and be like, oh, this part, but this part, love, you know.
And that's so funny too, because like, when I first started this network here 18 years ago, my head engineer, we were like testing all the sound for the radio station stuff. And he's like, do you hear that? And I'm like, no. He goes, we need to fix that. And I'm like, okay.
I get that feeling. I know exactly what that feeling is.
Yeah, like, there's a buzz there. There's a little like electric thing going on. What is that? Where's that coming from? You know? I'm
screaming in the key of C. It should be in the key of B. And stupid things like that. Yeah, it goes on and on. And at least to add on to the answer of what Mischa was saying, and the evolution of the music, at least. And I'm the last remaining member of all the previous incarnations. I always wanted to start a band that was much more rooted in metal, but I didn't mind more or less integrating some other elements such as hardcore, such as grindcore. Unfortunately, for the previous members, it was more like they wanted to pull it towards hardcore, and like, no, that's not what I want to do. And then they have to, you know, they left and had to get some other members that were basically going to keep the project going. And what I want to say with this is that, as you said, it takes some time to find the right person to gel and get the ideas going. And I think for me, it was just get the right people, just believe in the riffs that I'm making, believe the songs I'm writing. One big giant shout out I have to give is to Carlos, our drummer, who joined in early 2023. And he's the guy who I come up with, hey, I have a riff. I have no idea what to do with it. He goes, we'll fix something out. And we gel, we get the ideas down. And once we have that confidence of like, oh, this riff is good, this and this not, and we have the confidence to say like, it doesn't work, just ditch it. We ditch it, we write something better. It goes on like that. And this formation now with Mischa, who joined in around March, and a little bit later, Alex, our bass player, shout out to him as well. This formation just gels. They get it, and we all enjoy the jams. I heard so many times from the other members, like, this is like the jam days a day I'm waiting for the most. It's like once a week, and once our entire work weeks are done, it's like, okay, jam day, we got to go. And we have a good time. We have a good connection. And also, I think another thing that needs to be mentioned is, sure, you can gel well as musicians. Another completely different thing and very important is to gel as people.
Yeah,
100%. Music is 20-30% of the whole thing. The rest is hang time. The rest is, you know, let's talk about politics or how we disagree with it. Let's talk about religion and how we disagree with it. Let's talk about food. And I don't like Chinese, but she likes Indian. And it goes on and on. It's the basic of just. I think
that's the most important part right there. I'm glad you brought that up, because people don't realize that, like, and is what I mean by gelling, because as a band, you're spending like 24/7 with each other when you go on tour and do certain things. And like, if you're not getting along, you could be like, you know, some other people that happened lately, you know, where you just, and I've seen it too. You could see, you don't even have to get a fight. You could just see between people on stage whether they want to be with those other people or not. And that comes from the hang, not from the music.
Exactly. There's got to be mutual respect, and there's got to be at least the conviction that I know that the one thing I can ask from all my bandmates is commitment. And once that's there and I feel it, the rest is okay. I have to be amicable. I know that I have political differences with my drummer. We haven't talked about it ever. And it's one of like, that's not. Let's just keep with the music and talk about other things that we like football, how Venezuela sucks and Chile's great. Sorry, did I say that out loud? No, never mind. Let's edit that out.
I love it.
Stuff like that. So Mischa, I'm pretty sure. And also, in my case, this is my first time with a female bandmate, and the jam and the hang has been much more intense, much more cooler, much more relaxed. Like we like our metal, we enjoy what we play, and I think that's the key of it all.
See, that's really cool. See, I like hearing all that too. And, talking about blowing out your voice before, like, I have to give you credit because, first of all, you have a badass voice. But as somebody that sang thrash metal many years ago, I can't even do it anymore because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I did blow out, my throat and stuff, and like trying and doing those growls like you do. Like, it just blows my mind how somebody could do that for 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, or whatever. Because I try to get through one song now, and it's like tough.
It's like eating chips with chili and and drinking alcohol, all the bad things at once.
I know, right?
And cigarettes.
Yeah, it's like funny story. One of our previous shows, me and Mischa, we went to a Sepultura show, like the last tour that they're coming around with. Me being a Sepultura fan since forever, guess what? I sang all the songs, blew out my voice. I had a show 2 days after. Guess what happened? So I had to. That was a show that I had to. That was a lesson learned. Like, as much as like, don't have shows that are too close together, and as much I love Sepultura, don't blow out your voice singing to Territory the entire song with every nuance. Like, come on, Cristian, relax. You're not the teen anymore. You have responsibilities with your band. Take care of your voice. And at least on that aspect, from that point on, I've been much more strict with like when to scream, when not to scream, when to preserve my voice, when not to preserve my voice.
It's so funny you say that because like I go on tour and I do radio coverage at festivals, and I have to literally tell myself not to do certain things the first couple days because literally like some festivals, if it's like one of my favorite bands, like the next day I have like 20 interviews lined up and I have zero voice.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta playing with other bands because like I really like new music, so like I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so good, I'm really enjoying this, and I want to like jump around, and and I was like, no, I need to preserve my energy,
right?
Until we're done, and then we can have fun.
Yeah,
it's like even like when I do the festivals, like first day of the festival, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I should go in the pit today, the first day, and be damaged for the rest of the weekend.
There are priorities in life, especially if you're a metalhead.
Well, yeah, and that priority is like, okay, so Riot Fest, first time in 5 years Slayer played, so I broke my rule. And I was like, I had to be right. I had to be in that pit. I don't care what the results were going to be,
Completely forgivable,
right?
Yeah, you're not fired.
Yeah.
So
for the first time in Sao Paulo, I was like, "Oh, this is like what Rio Metal."
Isn't that their first time they ever were in Brazil too?
It may be. It was like in 2013, something like that. So
yeah.
It could be. Yeah,
could have been.
Was awesome. I was destroyed, but I was like, my life has been changed for the better.
Right. Well, you're gonna die. I went to the first Slayer show ever.
Whoa.
So I've seen them like, I don't know, at least 1,000 times, and I still could see. There's some bands that you could see every single time, and then there's other bands, okay, I've seen them. Like, I'll go do festivals, and they'll be the same headliner throughout the whole run, and I'll, first time I'll be excited, and then there'll be some, for some bands, and then it's like, I don't have to go to that set. I already saw the whole set, and then there's other bands like, okay, I could see that every single day.
Yeah. There are levels to this game.
No doubt, 100%. So speaking of like first gigs and stuff that got you into metal, both of you, what would you say the first live gig you ever went to that really got you into, oh my God, I'm a metalhead for the rest of my life?
Mischa?
Oh my gosh. Well, back then, I was like 14. Maybe. So it was a lot of power metal at the time. I saw like Symphony X, I saw Stratovarius, I saw Hammerfall, and I had a lot of fun. I saw Moms too. And I was a kid, like I had no idea what I was doing. I would go by myself. I didn't have friends that would want to do that. But like I always had a good time, and people were so friendly. And they were like, "Oh, you're all here by yourself. Like, oh, we could just lift you up so you can see the show better." Oh, and I was like, "Oh, that's so nice." And that was it. I started collecting shirts, which is like a prize, you know. I was like,
right, totally.
Yeah, it's just like, no, I want to keep this forever. And so yeah, that's where I started back then. I also saw the new formation of Angra back then, and they had that free show, and that also just blew my mind. Yeah, that was,
you know, it's funny too, because like, so I was talking about this with one of my friends that's in a band after I'm done doing an interview, we were sitting bullshit, and then we're talking about, you know, like we had talked about in the interview about how metalheads really are opposed to what people think we are.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, he's like, yeah, maybe we should edit that out. We don't want everybody knowing that, you know, we're nice and welcoming. You know, we might keep up that image.
Yeah, we have to.
You know, but it is the metal family. There is no other family like that in music. There is, and it is the nicest people. I'll tell you a funny story, and it'll relate to your point there. So, one year I had 2 festivals happening at once I had to cover, and obviously I couldn't be at both. So this girl that was working for me, she was a country girl. And so I recruited her to go cover this festival. And she had never even been to a rock show, much less a metal show. Okay. Yeah. And so I kind of explained to her, I'm like, listen, it's not like a country show where you got a bunch of rednecks getting drunk and fighting with each other. Even though you would think that because there's a mosh pit, you're going to find that you're going to go there. It's a big family. There are no fights for the most part. And you'll probably meet your new boyfriend, and you'll probably make a bunch of new friends and all that. And you'll have the time of your life. And she was kind of scared about it. Not going to lie. Like most people that are not metalheads going to a metal show, and she comes back after the weekend. She's like, oh my God, you're so right. I got all these new friends and this new boyfriend and this favorite new band of mine. I don't know if you ever heard of them. They're called Bring Me the Horizon. And I just laughed, like I was like, see, there it is. Like, and it is so true. You go to a metal gig and it's somewhere like the Linkin Park song, Somewhere You Belong. Like all of the people that are the outsiders are on the inside at a metal show.
Yeah. And that's how I feel as a metal guy. To answer your previous question, my just little, I don't know, I don't want to flex, but whatever. 1998, Santiago, Chile, Pantera, caught Dimebag's.
Nice.
Enough said.
Nice.
And to get on to the question, I cannot be in a hardcore band because I got zero credibility in hardcore. I have never had the X's in my hand, I respect it. I know what the hardcore scene is. I cannot be in the black metal scene because I got zero credibility in that. I never burned a church or never stabbed nobody. I don't know. The stereotypes that go with it. I have always been the angry, Sepultura loving, Pantera, chuggy, riffing, Fear Factory, Brujeria, Dino Casares inspired kind of kid that carried that throughout the years. And I'll be honest, as a metal guy, I'm a very big representative of my generation, and anything that came after was some of it I liked, but I straight up skipped 2005 to 2013. So whatever that had like little hair tight jeans, the verb the noun bands, I was a Poison the Well, Unlocking the Truth, this and that, like the whole I skipped that, and then I just regained my inspiration by all these bands that are just like 90s Worship, HM2, M.T.M.D, Fear Factory, Sepultura. Like Max Cavalera is, I think, more popular now than he ever was in his entire career.
I know, right?
And it just comes down to think like, I was right. The riffing, the beat tuning, that's who I am. That's how I represent myself in the riffs I write. And I'm glad I have bandmates like Mischa, who is from Brazil, who understands that attitude, understands the whole metal thing. She is into power metal. I was in much more grindcore and death metal. We met in the middle. We made Aggro Metal, and that's where we love, and that's where we stay, and that's where we're pretty. At least in my sense, I can say I'm pretty happy writing songs and collaborating with the musicians that I have, because the songs that are coming out right now are just more than inspirational. I mean, again, the 15-year-old kid inside of me is just banging his head like all day long with the songs that we write. And like that's something that kind of I gotta put myself like against, like when I'm listening to it, like, okay, you didn't write this. This is not, somebody else wrote this, and just pretend it's somebody else wrote this, and just, wow, this is fucking cool. Give that vibe, and just
nice.
I don't know. It's the fire inside of the metal kid that never dies. I don't know what to say about it.
I love it, and I'm glad, because the next thing I was going to ask about is what is Aggro Metal, because that's something that you refer to of what your band is now. So tell the listeners what that is.
Aggro Metal, first, I'll be honest with the term. In the 90s, living in Chile, right on the cusp when nu metal blew up, like 1996, Korn's first album, Deftones for 97, Deftones' first album, then the other ones that came after, and there's like the whole transition from radio rock grunge into like more nu metal-esque, quote unquote. In Chile, somebody came up with the term Aggro Metal. Oh, this is Aggro Metal, and just like, and they never caught on. I do remember in the 90s some TV shows and some movies referring to like, oh, dude, you're getting too aggro. Chill with the aggro. The term itself never caught on. So that died out. Eventually, that became nu metal, and the wave came and went. And as time passes by, I'm trying to get a show in the Montreal scene with my band. CHÜZO, what are you? And some say death metal, this, them, that. Some bands here would make their own moniker and a ridiculous sounding like moshcore, new gaze, and I'm just going, all right, fuck it, we're Aggro Metal, because yes, we have grindcore tendencies. Yes, I love Swedish death metal. I'm gonna mix them both. We got thrash inside. It's just a blend of all the aggressive sounding riffs that we can think of into one package called CHÜZO, with the soaring vocals of Mischa that represents exactly what I've always wanted this band to sound like when it comes to like expressing the angry lyrics that should be expressed the way it should be, that she does on top of the layers of riffs that I have. So that's what more or less what Aggro Metal is. It's just aggressive riffs, grindcore, death metal, your favorite ones. Funk. Here you are, CHÜZO.
Nice. I love it. And then you know what I thought of instantly, which is funny? You know, Paris, it's so funny that you are still related to hardcore, because Paris's new band is called Aggros, or it's been new band.
Oh, I remember. Yes, Aggros. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so
Comags. Shit, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, it's so funny because as you were talking, and even when I first saw that, it's so funny because even though, like what you were saying about hardcore, somehow I got related Aggro Metal to hardcore because of Paris.
Yeah. I remember seeing those in our jam spot. There's a flyer. Aggro is playing in Montreal. Ex-members of Pro-Med. Like, that's interesting. And I'm thinking, no one's listening to me or shit. Like, okay, cool. Some great minds think alike when I see things like when stuff like that happens. Great minds think alike. That's my best explanation. I
love it. So tell everybody how they reach out to you guys on socials, on the web, how they get the new EP, buy your merch, and tour dates, all that good stuff.
Yeah, we're mostly on Bandcamp and Instagram. So at CHÜZO.band, or you can look for CHÜZO Montreal. Kind of easy to find. That's pretty much it. We have merch there. We have we have the downloads there. We're on Spotify. We're all on all platforms. So Apple Music and anywhere, Deezer, SoundCloud. Mm-hmm. It's not hard. YouTube, yeah.
And your socials? How do they find you on socials?
Mostly Instagram at CHÜZO.band.
Okay.
Yeah, we're also on Facebook too. Yeah.
Also, we got, unfortunately, I think as the year ends, we probably not going to have any more shows for 2024, but we are packing shows for 2025. And
nice.
And so thank you so much for this opportunity, Mr. Pipeman.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I'm glad you like the songs. And before this ends, can I just ask you something? Like, I kind of ask this to everyone kind of listens to my music or to our music. If you were just a regular riff rock guy, whatever, and you just listen to the radio, not much into the music, but you appreciate the culture, whatever, and you hear CHÜZO for the first time, what would be your first reaction?
brutal.
Thanks. Thank you.
So the way I love the riffs, and I love the thrash component of it, because that's like, I love all metal, but I'm thrash first, which gives me, okay, I have a trivia question. Okay, you ready? What thrash metal band was originally considered power metal because there was no such thing as thrash metal?
I want to say Anvil?
Nope.
Oh.
Well, I don't want to just guess.
I'll be just like guessing the shooting darts. I'm getting Exodus. No.
You were close. You were close, but I'll tell you a story to answer the question. Okay. So I went to this other band's first show ever. And the guitarist came off stage. I think I was like 15. Guitarist came off stage and started talking to me, because that's what happened back then. You know, like that's always what happened. And he handed me his business card. And it said, Metallica, power metal, Dave Mustaine.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
Awesome. What a great story.
That is
right.
Whoa, dude.
Like, could you ever think of them being considered power metal? You know, like,
I think that there's a cool idea to have a business card. Hey,
I know, right?
That's fucking so cool. Damn.
Can you imagine? And that's back in the time where they didn't have stuff like that, and it was the tape trading days. And so, like, to have a business card, it just proved that Dave and all of them, probably Lars, all of them were just business people right from the get-go. You know, musicians first for sure, but you do have to be a business person to make it as big as that in the music business, especially nowadays, I think.
More than that, I think they knew the value of what they were doing. They knew that they were cut above the mediocre stock of whatever the thrash metal, power metal era, glam metal era of their time.
Yeah.
I think it's just musicians' confidence. Like that's what I feel. That's what I feel when I hear stuff like that. Like, here's my card. We're power metal. I'm Dave Mustaine. Like,
well, even the other bands that they were like with at the time, you know, the Anthrax, the Slayers, the Exodus, and all them. Like, I'm friends with a lot of them because of back in the day, and they all used to say like Metallica had something special when they were all sleeping on a floor in one room, like 4 bands. They all knew the one that was gonna make it big was Metallica.
That's a cool feeling. That's a cool story. Wow.
Right. So that may be part of it. You know, maybe some of the things that people make fun of Lars for that makes them so big like that. Because listen, I think everybody should give him some credit. He was right about Napster.
Yes,
look at where we are now. Like, everybody should have listened.
Yep, he was right.
You know,
it's hard to be what's the word in? There's a saying in Spanish. No puede ser un profeta en su propia tierra, which means you can't be a prophet in your own land. You have to, you know, slowly get people to agree with the idea, and and you're right, and it took a long while. I lived through the year 2000s and all that, when everybody was making fun of Lars. South Park made fun of Lars, and it kind of coming to a point like, you know, this whole free thing, this whole Napster thing, this whole Pirate Bay thing. I don't even remember the freaking website. Yeah, and it's gonna collapse. It's gonna collapse. It's gonna eventually. It doesn't make sense to basically have your music out for free if no one's gonna be making money off of it. And there's this kind of like stupid mentality of the whole sellout, not sellout thing. Like, guys,
yeah. And I was like that as a teenager, but you know what? You get to be an adult and you realize it's not really selling out, because how are you going to keep playing and keep going on if you're not making money and you're not relevant at all, because you're not selling out? Like, I remember when they came out, when they came out with the Black Album, I was one of those original 25 fans. I was like, fuck them, bunch of sellouts, you know, posers, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, listen, they're still one of my favorite bands. Yes. It was just me being young and stupid, and like we all are in the beginning.
Absolutely.
You know, but the bottom line is and that brings me to, like, maybe don't think that way. Maybe support your favorite band so they can keep playing and keep going, because it is not an easy industry, number one. Number two, there is no money in it anymore. There's not that rock star thing like it used to be. And, you know, like, if they're making you feel good, giving you good therapy, don't they deserve to at least be able to live a decent lifestyle? And so they're not sellouts. They're just doing what they got to do.
Exactly. I totally, completely agree with that. Mischa?
Yeah, that's why, like, every time we go to a show, like, okay, let's go see live music. Let's buy merch, you know, let's do all of that. Like, and it's like you said, it's a business. You have to promote things. Like, it's not, the music doesn't just go out there by itself.
Right.
You
exactly.
have to feed it to the algorithm first, you know, and all that. It's all part of it.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, the thing is like, even like when I go to shows and I see people buying the shirts outside, I'm like, don't do that. I'll walk right up to people. I'm like, don't do that, man. The band's not getting anything out of that. They're getting ripped off, you know? And maybe t-shirts are more expensive nowadays because it's a lot of people have their hands in the pot, but that's the only way the artist is going to be able to get to the next show. So buy the merch. That's my thing.
Yeah. That's how you show support.
Exactly. 100%. Well, you guys definitely are badass, and I hope to see you live too. And
we're making all the work to get there. Trust me, we're doing all the hard work to get there.
See, you gotta get on these U.S. festivals, or you gotta play at Hellfest.
Oh, dude. That's the dream, dude. That's the dream.
Now, one of the only festivals, there's a few, but one of the only festivals I haven't done yet or attended was the Rock in Rio. And every artist I've talked to, that's like one of their favorite festivals. So I have to look into that one, because apparently you guys in Brazil go nuts at that festival.
Oh yeah, we're so passionate. That's one thing I always say is like, why are we more passionate than everyone else? Why are we like giving our blood, sweat, and tears at every concert? Why is it so meaningful for us? And how do we draw? You know, how do these bands draw like 400,000 people? Like, it's a huge city of rock, you know, and other acts. But
I don't question it. I just accept it.
There you go. So yeah, you guys will have to play Rock in Rio to 400,000 people.
Yeah. Mischa's got contacts there, apparently, don't you?
I know people who played there, so
okay.
Maybe we'll get there.
Okay.
Well,
but yeah, thanks a lot for the interview, and thanks a lot for being honest about, you know, the music that we're making. If you think it's brutal, that means the world to us, for sure.
Yeah, and I've found I'm the type, like, you know, I'm a true metalhead. If I don't like the music, I can't do the interview. I don't understand some of these other press people that don't even like metal and do interviews. Like, how can you do a metal interview without having the passion for metal?
Some people, man, what can I say? Just fake it till you make it, I suppose.
Yeah, so I'll never tell you it's brutal if it's not brutal, and brutal's like one of the best compliments I could give you.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
On that. Yeah.
You guys rock, and all my listeners, they need to go out and support you. Check out the new album, merch, all that stuff, or they can't listen to my show. And thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipe Man.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us here.
My pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipe Man on W4CY Radio.